The universe is home to many mysteries. Though scientists learn more every year, outer space is still confusing to the average person. But several mind-bending theories have totally changed our understanding of the universe. Today, we're looking at 5 theories of the universe that will blow your mind. Most people compare this theory to the popular action movie The Matrix, in which humanity is plugged into a simulation while their bodies are used as an energy source by benevolent robots. This is more melodramatic than most simulation theory hypotheses, but it is a good point of comparison. Essentially, simulation theory proposes that our current world is not real. There are many variations surrounding the real nature of reality, but this is the basic principle. One Swedish theorist named Nick Bostrom has even made a mathematical model to support this claim. Bostrom has become a cult celebrity in fringe circles for his authorship of the simulation theory. This theory supposes that because of the overwhelming likelihood of technological singularities occurring in the universe, it is quite likely that advanced civilizations, either us in the future or aliens in a distant galaxy, have created or will create simulations. Since the number of these simulations would number in the billions, Bostrom submits that it's actually quite likely that we are living in some sort of computer simulation. It has been suggested that the simulation theory would actually help explain paranormal activity, such as ghosts, haunted houses, ESP, and demons. Viewed as part of the simulation, they are simply errant pieces of code. Entities such as Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster are as real as apple pie, except they are programs that are rife with glitches. Neil deGrasse Tyson put the odds at 50-50 that our entire existence is a program on someone else's hard drive. I think the likelihood might be very high, he said. He noted the gap between human and chimpanzee intelligence, despite the fact that we share more than 98% of our DNA. Somewhere out there could be a being whose intelligence is that much greater than our own. We would be drooling, blithering idiots in their presence, he said. If that's the case, it's easy for me to imagine that everything in our lives is just a creation of some other entity for their entertainment. The singularity is an extremely dense theory that describes a moment when human and machine intelligence converge. The singularity was originally coined by mathematician John von Neumann, who way back in the 1950s spoke of how ever-accelerating technological progress could impact human life. A good way to understand the singularity is to imagine explaining the internet to somebody living in the year 1200. Your frames of reference would be so different that it would be almost impossible to convey how the internet works, let alone what it means to our society. You are on the other side of what seems like a singularity to our person from the Middle Ages, but from the perspective of a future singularity, we are the medieval ones. Advances in science and technology mean that singularities might happen over periods much shorter than 800 years, and nobody knows for sure what they'll bring. In 1965, British mathematician I.J. Good described what he called an intelligence explosion, where an ultra-intelligent machine that can far surpass all the intellectual activities of man, however clever, could emerge, in which case the intelligence of man would be left far behind. Essentially, a more modern understanding of the theory believes that humans will become one with machines, and using their ability to calculate and process data on a huge scale, reach a level of superhumanity in which many things, including immortality, are possible. One version, championed by the inventor and visionary Ray Kurzweil, emphasizes biology, cryonics, and medicine. In the future, we will have the medical tools to banish disease and disease-related death. Another is represented in the writings of the sociologist William Sims Bainbridge, who describes a promise of cyber immortality, when we will be able to experience a spiritual eternity that persists long after our bodies have decayed, by uploading digital records of our thoughts and feelings into perpetual storage systems. Since there is no direct evolutionary motivation for an AI to be friendly to humans, the challenge is in evaluating whether the AI-driven singularity will, under evolutionary pressure, promote their own survival over ours. The reality remains that artificial intelligence evolution will have no inherent tendency to produce or create outcomes valued by humans, and there is little reason to expect an outcome desired by mankind from any superintelligent machine. Many people are confused by the existence of black holes and the Big Bang. What existed in our universe before this amazing cosmic event? The cyclic universe theory attempts to answer that question. A cyclic universe is a universe that follows an infinite self-sustaining cycle. In the 1930s, Einstein came up with the idea that the universe could go through an infinite cycle of big bangs and big crunches. The expansion of our universe could have been caused by the collapse of a previous universe. It sort of bounced back from the contraction of the universe before it. You could say our universe was reborn from the death of the universe before it. If this is true, then our Big Bang was not a unique event. It was one insignificant bang among an infinite number of other bangs. The cyclic universe theory does not necessarily replace the Big Bang theory. It just sheds some light on some more questions, such as what was before the Big Bang and why the Big Bang led to a period of rapid expansion. In 2002, a theory came along which modernized this idea. Princeton physicist Paul Steinhardt and Neil Turok of Cambridge University described their proposed theory in an article published in an online edition of Science. The theory proposes that in each cycle, the universe refills with hot, dense matter and radiation, which begins a period of expansion and cooling, like the one of the standard Big Bang picture. After 14 billion years, the expansion of the universe accelerates, as astronomers have recently observed. After trillions of years, the matter and radiation are almost completely dissipated, and the expansion stalls. An energy field that pervades the universe then creates new matter and radiation, which restarts the cycle. The new theory provides possible answers to several long-standing problems with the Big Bang model, which has dominated the field of cosmology for decades. It addresses, for example, the nagging question of what might have triggered or come before the beginning of time. The pair estimates that each cycle lasted about 1 trillion years. During this time, the universe runs its natural course, but all the while, matter and energy fans out through space until they are extremely sparse. Steinhardt says their crazy theory can be tested. The inflationary Big Bang theory predicts that gravitational waves produced at the end of inflation leave an imprint on the cosmic microwave background, a diffuse form of electromagnetic radiation that fills the universe. If future experiments show the pattern produced by such waves, it would disprove the cyclic universe theory, ruling it out as a possible solution. If you're a fan of science fiction or fantasy, then chances are at some point you've read a book, seen a movie, or watched a series that explored the concept of multiple universes. The idea is that within this thing we call time and space, there are other dimensions where reality differs from our own, sometimes slightly, sometimes radically. Interestingly enough, this idea is not restricted to fiction and fantasy. The multiverse is a theoretical framework in modern cosmology which presents the idea that there exists a vast array of potential universes that are actually existent in some way. There are a number of different types of potential universes: the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, brane worlds predicted by string theory, and other more extravagant models. And so the parameters of exactly what constitutes the multiverse is different depending on whom you speak to. It's unclear how this theory can actually be applied scientifically, so it's still controversial among many physicists. On the fully disconnected end of this spectrum is the assertion that all possible worlds coexist with equal reality. This idea, known as modal realism, has been developed in philosophy, notably by the American David Kellogg Lewis in the 1970s and 80s. It's difficult to delve into these subjects without getting into high-level math and physics, but the theories have yet to be disproven. Black holes are a frightening prospect to many people. Infinitely dark and infinitely dense, they consume entire universes in a millisecond. Black holes can form through a number of ways, such as when a massive star bigger than the sun collapses on itself and dies. This occurrence causes a supernova and the formation of a black hole. Scientists also believe that a collision between two neutron stars can create a black hole. In theory, these scenarios indicate that black holes are formed when a massive volume of mass exists at a certain spot in space. This causes a rift in the space-time fabric, which then leads to a black hole, according to Express. But what if we were living inside a black hole right now? For theoretical physicist Nikodem Poplawski of Poland, this concept points to the possibility that the universe was formed inside the Big Bang black hole. Our universe may exist inside a black hole, he stated in an article he wrote for Inside Science. This may sound strange, but it actually could be the best explanation of how the universe began and what we observe today. It's a theory that has been explored over the past few decades by a small group of physicists, including myself, he added. The Polish physicist describes black holes as a kiln of the universe, when a seed of matter is at the bottom and with the black hole twisting at almost the speed of light. The tiny seed becomes twisted and compressed until it suddenly explodes, giving birth to everything that we know. He explains, first of all, the Big Bang wasn't very big. Second of all, there was no bang. Third, Big Bang theory doesn't tell you what banged, when it banged, how it banged. It just said it did bang. So the Big Bang theory in some sense is a total misnomer. We need a theory that goes before the Big Bang, and that's string theory. String theory says that perhaps two universes collided to create our universe, or maybe our universe is budded from another universe, leaving an umbilical cord. In the end, it is extremely difficult to know the true nature of our universe. Scientists continue to study this fascinating field and make amazing and mind-blowing discoveries. But until they are able to prove one theory correct, we'll just need to wonder.